Well, what is really preventing us from succeeding? Because it's not just the process, it is something else. Hi, my name is Daria. Welcome to ScrumMastered video series where I give you practical tips on how to build awesome teams. In today's video, I wanted to talk about one of the topics that often comes up in different organizations and teams that really shows that Scrum is difficult and it is very difficult to implement. And the topic is, well, Scrum doesn't work in our situation. No. There are a lot of different cases where I'm talking to organizations and I'm talking to teams or Scrum Masters who are working with Scrum teams who say, well, right now we are organized in this way and we just don't have time, and overall our organization is just not set up in a way that can help us implement Scrum. Well, that is obviously something that happens for most of the organizations and most of the teams, really, when they're starting out with Agile. Now, how do you actually go about that? Is it really the problem that Scrum just doesn't work for you? Well, here's the thing. Scrum is based on 3 pillars. It is based on the empirical process control theory that has the 3 key elements: transparency, inspection, and adaptation. So we want to base all our decisions on transparent information. And if you want to learn a bit more about what transparency entails, I'm going to put another video here where I talk a bit more about transparency. Now, as I said, when we are implementing Scrum, we need to have transparent information, and based on that information, we inspect and adapt. Okay, so that all kind of sounds like a lot of gibberish. What does it actually mean? Well, because we work in a complex environment, because product development is complex, there are many factors that can impact our success. There are customers that might change their view on what they want. Their needs might evolve. The technology we work with can be changing, right? And this is something that we need to take into account. And there are a lot of people involved. There are a lot of organizations that we need to compete against. There are employees that we might have all over the globe. There are very many factors that can really impact your success. So, this is a complex environment, and the reality is that when we work with products, when we work in product development, whether it's software or not, we can't predict the future. Well, I mean, generally, this is something that we cannot really do. And empiricism just says that we might plan ahead, we might have a plan that we believe is great based on what we know right now, but we also accept the fact that the plan isn't perfect, and we might need to inspect it and adapt it. So this might relate to things like what we want to include in our product. So our scope might be changing. It might be related to how much time we need or how much money we need to accomplish something. So all those factors is really what empiricism brings to light. Going back to the question at hand, where we kind of talk about the fact that Scrum might not be working for us. If we work in a product development, we're working in a complex environment. So empiricism is a perfect way to actually approach the risks and the constantly changing factors that might impact our success. What Scrum really does, it just makes those problems visible. So if we're struggling to deliver a product of a certain quality that satisfies customer demands, well, Scrum is going to show it because we will be getting feedback from our customers. If we are constantly being pressed for time and we have deadlines that do not really align with what the team really can do, Scrum will show it, right? It's not because your team has a 1 hour, 2 hour sprint planning at the beginning of their sprint and a couple of hours at the end of the sprint they spend on review and retrospective. Because of that, they don't have time. They don't have time because the way you plan ahead is just not working in a complex environment. Can be also some of the problems that we'll see related to constant interruption, changing priorities and requirements, and no one there to really prioritize and order the value of what you do. Scrum will bring those problems to light. That's what transparency is all about. And just because Scrum shows those problems, it doesn't mean that Scrum won't work for you. It just shows you problems. It doesn't solve them though, right? Once Scrum shows you those problems, well, that's up to you to start thinking, how can we resolve those problems? And the reality is, it's not really the Scrum process that is impeding your success. It's the way your organization is structured. It's the way how you prioritize, how you measure success, how you plan and replan. And this is where the changes need to happen. Changing the process, changing how often you meet, or where you put, how you call your product backlog, or who makes the decision, what it's going to do is just cover up those problems. The problems are still there. You didn't just magically gain more time in a day because you abandoned Scrum. You didn't magically resolve all of the quality issues in your product, and you didn't magically resolve the prioritization issues in your product. You just have hidden it, and now you can solve it. So this is what really something that I wanted to talk about in this video, is that when you feel that Scrum doesn't work because you see a lot of the problems, take it as an opportunity for improvement. It means that there are problems indeed, but the reason is not Scrum, the reason is something else, and look for that underlying reason instead. Focus on that and try to understand, well, what is really preventing us from succeeding? Because it's not just the process, it is something else overall in your organization and team. I hope that gives you some ideas and insights about what you can do to help your organization really leverage the benefits of agility and Scrum and implement it in such a way that overall the organization is successful, your customers are satisfied, and your product is high quality. By the way, if you are interested in joining our community of practice for Scrum Masters, Mastering Scrum Pro, I'm going to put the link in the description or below the video so that you can go and check it out and see if this is something right for you. This is a community where we come together with other Scrum Masters and Agile professionals to share knowledge, to build real skills that can help us in our continuous career development. I hope to see you in the next video. Cheers and Scrum on!